We were at the first season of the NASL, so we have a couple of follow-up questions and so on. So how did your arm finally end up working out? I know that you injured it like doing that relay race.
Oh,
it's okay now?
Yeah, actually was nothing. That was just like a little bit of a cut. But
right.
Before that, it was pretty bad. But yeah, totally fine now.
Totally fine now? Okay, all right. But we wanted to get into a little bit of what we talked about at the earlier one. How are you doing in the house? Like, I know that there was we were talking with Sir Scoots earlier, and I know that he was like speaking with your father. We want to know a little bit about like your family and how they reacted to you being like, I know you're a Warcraft 3 player, and you had already started going down that path, and I wanted to know how their reaction was to it, and if there was any resistance.
Being a Warcraft 3 player?
No, even the transition to StarCraft 2.
Oh, there was a little resistance. I got offered a job at casting like straight away for StarCraft 2, which my dad wanted me to take up because it had a more consistent salary and stuff. This before EG or anything. And yeah, that was a bit of a struggle, but then I got offered to move to Germany and such and play full time, and I was just took it on board, and that was cool. And about the house, yeah, I only have like positives to say about the house. Like,
okay, good.
Really enjoyed it.
Good, because I know that that's kind of a new experience, the house that was set up, and we were asking if there was any logistics, like bathroom issues. What happens when one of you loses? Do you have enough space to go off and like rage alone? Well, anything like that?
Yeah, like I sit next to Greg, so I see a lot of rage going on. I have a bathroom to myself. Like I think everybody pretty much does. There's like 6 or 4 or 5 bathrooms in the house, which is pretty cool. The only problems I have about that is when Puma comes to stay, and he's like got some crazy habit of leaving the shower curtain outside the.
Who does?
Puma.
Oh.
So the shower curtain outside the shower like leaks everywhere, and then he'll blame it on me for some reason. But well, everything's cool.
Oh, okay, all right. Kind of going along the same vein, I want to ask about like fan interaction and stuff.
Okay.
Like, when is the best time for fans to like leave you alone?
Best time to leave me alone?
Yes,
like,
yes.
Straight after a loss.
Yeah, best time to talk to you and best time to leave you alone.
Okay, best time to talk to me is after a win. If I do win, that's always a good time.
Yeah.
Before the games, never. Like, never before the games. No, you just want to focus on your game, focus on your opponent. Like, no fan interaction, and that's best. Worst time is straight after a lose. Like, nobody wants to. Yeah, nobody wants to hear like, "Oh, you played so great anyway." It's like that doesn't really matter
because
like,
I lost.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter if you played well. Like, a lose is a lose.
Yeah.
If you feel all right about it yourself, that's one thing. But if fans are telling you like it's okay, don't worry. Like, even though they're being really nice, I don't want to hear it.
Does it just make it worse somehow? Just because everyone is really nice about it?
If it was up to me, I'd like to blank the minds of everybody that ever saw that game, kind of thing. Like, nobody to ever know about it. Yeah.
Oh.
Like a few players on my team, especially, they'll just go off to the hotel room for a few days, like not see anybody. Dealing with a loss, like we deal with losses all the time in practice, but that's when nobody sees it. When everybody's seeing it and everybody knows about you losing to this dude that you expect to beat, like you have to put yourself in the mindset that you are a better player, you know.
Right.
So the fact that happens and everybody sees that happen, that's really disheartening.
Right. No, and especially with this setup right here, I know that like with there's the red carpet, and then you walk off by yourself, and the other person gets the interview. I mean, I don't know how that feels, but not very good.
No.
What about? Oh, geez, hang on, I lost my train of thought here. How do you handle like criticism from the fans? Like, because I know that there are some really, oh my God, it'll be okay, but there's other people who are like, wow, you play like an idiot. Like, I mean, how do you? There are different players, and some of them like get a lot more hurt by like Redditors and like Team Liquid and criticism. Like, how do you personally handle it?
Well, if I did play like an idiot, like I just have to take it on the chin.
Okay.
If I didn't, I do believe I played well. It depends if I lost, but usually I do ignore most of the comments like that. Obviously, some of them do affect you more than others, especially if there's more than one person saying the exact same thing.
Right.
But in general, no, I ignore most of it. Think about the next game, think about the next day. Like, in the end of the day, it's all on the day, you know. Like, you can have a really amazing purple patch, or you can be totally crap. So yeah, I just think about the future.
Think about the future? Okay, all right. Let's see here. I want to know the transition to Warcraft 3 to StarCraft 2. Was there ever a point, like even during that time, where you wanted to quit esports, or how close have you ever come to quitting?
There was one point in time where my salary living in Germany was not really enough to live on, and I had to win weekly tournaments in order to like kind of sustain myself, which that was really kind of bad. And I had a kind of partner at the time that wanted me to quit too, and that just piled on pressure. So there was definitely a time when I did consider quitting pretty heavily, but I'm really glad I didn't.
But did you end up winning those tournaments, or how did you make it through? You won all of them?
Well, not all of them.
Okay.
I won a fair few, and I guess that was extra motivation to go through, you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was a tough time, and results in general weren't going as well as they should have been.
Right.
Or at least not what I expected, what everybody else expected. So there was quite a bit of criticism. So everything was a bit down, and that's when I let like comments get to me too much, and I've learned since then. But also just not peer pressure, but pressure from like not family, but yeah, people around me was a bit negative.
Okay, can you go? So what did you do at that point? Did you just buckle down and really like concentrate, or what did you?
That's when I got into talks with EG actually.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That was the light at the end of the tunnel. So everything turned around.
So it actually just worked out just fine, actually.
Perfectly, yeah.
God, like in a world without StarCraft, what can you imagine? Like what would have been your backup? Like what would you have done? Like
in school, I was good at maths and geography, so anything to do with those. I was good at physics and chemistry too. So I could have gone down any of those roads. I remember my teacher wanted me to be like a chemist or something. So one of those maybe. But
like a biological or like a physical chemist?
Yeah, like maths and chemistry apparently that's like a combo that people are after these days. But,
no, it's true.
Yeah, so I did both those subjects to like a pretty decent level. But besides that, I loved being competitive. I was a pretty good swimmer when I was quite a bit younger, so anything like that.
Oh, okay, all right. Wow, I didn't. And you used to swim? Did you used to swim competitively? I'm sorry,
I
used to
swim.
About StarCraft right
I used to
now.
swim in galas for my county. It was like Nottinghamshire, so I was pretty young at the time, but I was I never lost a race.
So. Okay, all right, but you ended up liking Warcraft 3 and StarCraft more than
pretty much
than swimming.
There was one time I got disqualified. It was a team relay, and apparently I didn't touch the wall, but I did touch the wall, and I had a really bad temper back then, and I just decided to call it quits right there and then. I was really mardy about it.
Oh my god! So wait, the referee just didn't see you touch the wall, or like what happened? I don't understand how you can.
My teammate kind of jumped in before they thought I touched the wall, because I touched the wall, but then I took an extra stroke. It was front crawl, but it was really stupid. I mean, breaststroke, I'll go into swimming here.
Right.
You like two hands have to touch the wall at the same time.
Right.
Front crawl, it's one hand, like that's fine, and that's exactly what happened. So.
I see.
Yeah, I was pretty miffed about it.
That's kind of an arse thing. Like,
yeah.
I would have rage quit too. Seriously.
Yeah, well, my mum was a swimmer. Like she was like a swimmer from when she was like 7 till 18 or whatever. Like
really?
Pretty good, yeah. And so she wanted me to get into it. So from a young age, she got me swimming. And then,
okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Was that? All right. I mean, is that the same thing that your dad wanted you to get into, or was it mainly your mom who was like, do the swimming?
My mum. Like, I did some other things like judo and stuff classes, but swimming was the thing that I took on and did like 2 or 3 times a week for like after school. Like, yeah. So.
Did you do any other sports like?
Swimming was
just
my
swimming?
thing. Swimming was my thing.
Just swimming. That's it. All right, that is totally interesting. All right, can we ask a little bit about esports? Do you think that there's anything that's holding esports back specifically? Like I know that with the NASL here, there's streams, and then everyone's like, oh my God, look at how empty the venue is, like blah blah blah. What do you think is holding esports back?
I believe esports is doing pretty well. To say where it's like in the last 2 years alone, I think it's grown like tremendously, but. I still have to say that I think in high places there's a few people that shouldn't be there. Be it like I won't like pick out people, because I don't know who they are. Like that's one thing. Like I don't know who's actually in charge or anything.
There's no transparency.
Yeah, like where do these people come from? Like I know a lot of them are actually, I'll call them failed gamers if you like, that have like gone on to managerial roles. But you really need somebody that knows what they're doing. I mean. That's the only way to do it.
I think that's a good point. I mean, you're touching on this player base is very motivated but very young, and they need a central figure to kind of like guide them and do things. And you think that's missing here?
I think that's one thing that's missing. Like it's starting to creep in. I mean, you have managers for certain teams that know what they're doing. You know, they've had like years experience and they know exactly how the whole field works. Like But yeah, a lot of these tournaments in general, and a lot of teams in general, it's mainly tournaments, but yeah, they don't really have much of a clue.
Right.
But then again, it's all young, and the amount of growth that we have had, it's no wonder that people don't know what they're doing. I mean,
exactly.
If it's like going from track in school and then immediately into the Olympics, you know, like
right.
a whole different ballgame. So yeah, I don't blame them, but that's the only thing I can think of that holds it back right now off the top of my head.
Can you think of anything that, like the average Joe, I mean, obviously it's very, very difficult to be a top player, but there are other things that people can do. What do you think that the average person can do to kind of help further the cause? I know that like Husky, for instance, he visited my hospital and then he donated blood to one of my patients. So is there anything like that that you can think of where kind of the average person, like, kind of take stock of their abilities, and then like how do you have any suggestions for that?
I haven't actually thought about it, so I don't have any suggestions, but all I can say is like yeah, when you say try and be supportive,
right.
Yeah, just don't be critical, or you can be critical but at least constructive, you know, like
right.
Yeah, like we're all in the same community. When you have these people that are totally badgering and
right.
Yeah, it's something that we need to be accepted. Like people don't really view esports yet, like on a global scale, you know,
right.
at all. And I must admit, like a lot of people I've spoke to about esports and what I do, they just have no idea, you know.
Right.
So I think average Joes, I'd just say like that's a really tough question.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'd have to think about that one for a while.
All right. How do you explain to people about what you do, about esports in general? I mean, and are you, because I know that there was a stigma like a few years ago. It's like, oh, you're a professional gamer. Like, isn't that nice? You know, kind of thing. I mean, how has it changed over the years? I mean, it's been a long time since Warcraft 3. Has it changed?
It's definitely changed.
Okay, good.
Like, the fact that I can live off what I make, if you like, that's a huge thing. That's huge. Like explaining to my family was one thing, and then explaining to friends and stuff. Like in high school, when my friends were like pot washers part time and stuff, you know, like waitresses, and then I was earning like about a similar salary just from playing games, you know.
Right.
Like they started to kind of understand, but nowadays, I try to explain it to people.
Right.
And I spoke with my dad recently because he often like brags about me, you know, like my son's a pro gamer. And when you try and explain to people, you can get like a few different types of people. You get the people that are pretty clued in, like they're like, oh, well, how do they make money? Like sponsors. Oh, well, where does he attend tournaments and stuff? And this whole, like they kind of know a little bit like how it works. But you get a lot of people that are just, I'll call them a little dumb. Like they just have no freaking clue, you know, which. Yeah, that's when it's tough. That's when it's frustrating to actually, like, I don't go into detail. I'm just like, I play games, I'm pretty good, that's it. Like, that's all you need to know. But the people that actually have an idea, like, I go into, like, pretty deep detail. And But in general, like, things have been really cool. I lived in Germany for roughly a year, and that's pretty, like, esports is getting more and more accepted over there. Like, that's one of the biggest places in Europe, that and Sweden. So when I met people, like, people actually knew about it, which was cool, so I didn't have to do much explaining. America, it's getting there, you know. Like, I've ran into people from different walks of life, like be it YouTube and whatever. So we all know, like, we're all connected by Twitter now, Facebook. So everybody's like, everything's kind of melding together nicely.
It's true.
So yeah, like I think it's cool.
Okay, because I mean, going into that a little bit, I know that here in America, I mean, there's a lot of people who are really into the Korean scene, but we don't know that much about the European scene, and these European players that come over here are just like, well, what, I feel kind of ignored. Like, so do you have anything to kind of say to them, like, you know, just keep your chin up, it's okay, it's getting there, we're all melting together?
Kind of, yeah. Like, the American scene for sure is like advancing so fast. I do believe the European players are way underappreciated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like in terms of ratio of good players, it's probably like 1 to 10, like America to European.
Right now.
And a lot of those Europeans are like totally ignored, which it's kind of wrong, you know. Like, but it's just how it happens. You know, you see the American players, if you go to an MLG, like especially in the early days, like it's so expensive for Europeans to go.
Yes.
Especially for the prize money being so small. I mean, if you're talking about $1,000 or $2,000 flights, you know, for £5,000 or $5,000 first place, the chances that you're going to win aren't like,
especially in a pool of like 230 people.
Exactly. They're not like, nothing's certain at all. So American players definitely got a lot more exposure. A lot of the time, it was like, undeserved, I'll say. But all I can say is to the Europeans is keep your hopes up. Have to start playing on America and what have you. Like, even if you have latency, like, you have to expose yourself to the American audience, because they themselves probably just don't know about the Europeans, and that's
and that's the thing.
Yeah, that's to do with like European managers again that may be just failed gamers and not marketing their players well enough. But you know, like EG is one of the best teams for doing that. Like, all of our players can get multiple thousands of viewers and stuff. Whereas, yeah, I was talking to some players from like Mouse Sports, for example, and they got some huge talent. Like, their players have won tournaments all over the globe, but I mean, no one knows anything about Mouse. Nobody knows. So,
exactly.
It's just about having people in the wrong places.
I mean, even here at the NASL, like the EG team, like Mita, was a lot more hyped up than the Mouse one, and I thought that personally, I thought that the Mouse, it just blew everything. I love the Thor Zane Morrow match. Like, it was amazing. So, I mean, so do you think that that's kind of a blessing in disguise when the Koreans didn't come here, and then, like, it kind of gave these players a chance to expose themselves even more?
I do, but these players have already proven themselves time and time again. And yet they still don't really, like, that's more down to their managers and their teams themselves that aren't exposing them as much as they could. Like, the marketing's wrong. Like,
Okay, all right. Kind of switching gears a little bit and going back to what you said earlier, when you were talking about your friends, when you play StarCraft and I don't know how your practice schedule is like, but do you find that it really affects your relationships in some way, like with your family or your friends or anything like that? Romantic interest, etc. The inquiring minds of the public want to know. Okay,
with friends in high school and such, and going on to university. I didn't go on to university, so that was a big thing, and that was purely because of the gaming. Yeah, definitely stopped interaction socially to a certain extent. Like, I was still like a very social dude, but it definitely died down a lot, like, compared to what it was. In terms of family, a lot of them didn't understand it. My immediate family didn't understand it at first, but gradually they got
used to it.
Yeah, like the turn to StarCraft, like that changed a lot. Like, again, it was all about like future prospects. Like, Warcraft 3 was I was almost like playing a dying game, so prospects was small, you know, like whereas StarCraft 2, the sky, like,
the sky's the limit,
like,
and as soon
it's
as
still growing.
As soon as the Brood War pros switch over, it's just gonna
it's still growing. So it's really cool. Romantic interests. So far, it's been really cool. Like, that's all I can. Like,
all right. It's okay. You don't have to say anything on camera. Like, that's cool.
You know, it's a huge topic of conversation, and a lot of them find it really interesting. So yeah, it's cool.